All right, let's get into this. This week, gentlemen, the name on the marquee has got to be Jessica Bate Estaca, which means pile driver, Andrade, who this past Saturday at UFC Fight Night, Lemos versus Andrade at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, defeated Amanda Lemos by submission via standing arm triangle at 3 minutes and 13 seconds of the very first round. Mark, let me send it over to you first. What are your thoughts on this statement win, a statement finish by none other than Bate Estaque Jessica Andrade?
My thoughts are that Jessica Andrade is a savage. I mean, that girl has some wild finishes on her resume, and this is certainly high up on the list. The first ever standing arm triangle in UFC history. She is stupid strong, and she must have one hell of a squeeze. Even the commentary couldn't believe that she didn't need to take it down to finish that thing. Unfortunately, in terms of the fight, we didn't get to see that much of it to try to learn about Lemos and how she stacks up against this elite level that she's kind of hit now. She was landing some nasty strikes, which we knew she was capable of, especially early in fights. Andrade kind of came out a bit more reserved than usual, so it wasn't quite that car crash that we were saying it had a chance to be in round one. But then, boom, kind of just as the fight gets going, out of nowhere, Andrade slips in that standing arm triangle. You didn't think it was going to do it, but it did it. I mean, who the hell pulls that off? Freaking crazy finish. Great win for her, and a hell of a statement in her return to the 115-pound division to remind people just where she stacks up.
Omar, let me bring you in here now. Share your thoughts on this statement finish by Jessica Andrade.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of surprised more people don't get that choke, if we're being 100% honest. That position, I feel like, is very, very common when you're working in the clinch and when you're doing clinch work. Like, I can tell you when I train, one of the things that I do, especially to people that are taller than me, is I slip under that arm and I basically get them in an arm triangle of sorts. But I use it more to control for knees, control the body, hit the leg, and then kind of break away and create distance. In MMA, you have a little bit more, obviously, creativity to do what you want. But every time I get in that position, I always think to myself, I can just choke this motherfucker out right here. Like, if I have the position, I'm in the position already. Just, you just got to adjust your arms and hit the squeeze. So I'm surprised that people in the clinch don't either go for this a little bit more or don't catch it a little bit more, especially guys who are higher level in submissions. But it was dope to see Andrade find that submission when it didn't really seem like she was having a lot of success in the stand-up all too much. And I wonder if that was Lemos's, striking or just her distance management there, because Andrade has always kind of been the shorter person, even against people who are her same weight or relatively her same size. But I also wonder if the moment got to Lemos as well. She seems... It looked like there was a lot of weight on her getting into that cage, walking, kind of getting that fight started. It didn't look like how Andrade looked, where this was another day at the office at this point for her. So I think we'll see good things from Lemos going forward. I don't think this is really a setback by any stretch of the imagination. I think it was a wake-up call. She's very, very skilled. She's very, very good. And like you guys said, this is definitely one of these Andrade finishes where she can use her brute force to just really get this submission. It's kind of crazy how she got it and because even when she got it, to be fair, I didn't think that she had it. I saw her working for it. She didn't even really look like she was struggling to squeeze either. She just kind of looked like
it was the readjustment that did it.
Yeah. It was a few
when it got loose for the second, and then she retightened it. All of a sudden, it was way tighter than it had been for the duration.
And you could see Lemos's face. As time went on, her face got more and more panicked.
That's right when her face, when her expression changed.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if Lemos at first was kind of relaxed because she thought that it was just sort of a defensive position. I don't know. I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert. I mean, obviously, Omar, respect to you and your analysis. I do wonder what the take of a Henner Gracie would be, of those real subtle jiu-jitsu black belt nuances of maybe Lemos thought this is just a momentary thing. She's going to let this go, and then Andrade readjusts, squeezes tighter, and it was a wrap, pun intended.
Yeah. I think And there are things that you can do to defend yourself against that position instead of letting yourself get sunk in more and more, because there were moments in those adjustments where she could have mounted a defense. She could have tried to because there's at least 3 things there that I know of that you could have done in that situation. So at least try and work to get out of that situation. Could it have worked? Maybe not. Maybe the choke was already very, too tight. But there were moments of readjustment where there could have been some fight there to get out of that situation.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about Amanda Lemos real quick. Mark, let me send it back to you. I thought Lemos actually looked really good up until that sort of that, what would you call it? That tangle happened and she got caught in that arm triangle. Where do you think Lemos goes from here in terms of her next opponent? We can parlay it into that, but also your thoughts on Lemos' performance up until the choke.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say she didn't look good because she was winning the exchanges, but I also think that a factor was that it seemed like Andrade very consciously came out and said, okay, this girl is known as this round 1 berserker, and usually I'm someone who plays into that, and I am going to kind of wait and see and just not necessarily fire back at her and let this turn into any type of blow for blow type deal. It seemed like that was the strategy Andrade came out with. So yes, Lemos looked good, but I almost think Andrade may have been kind of allowing that to see what Lemos was going to be throwing at her and make sure that it didn't turn crazy right out of the gate. As for her matchup, I actually think that the answer for Tisha Torres that we were kind of struggling to find someone who made sense a couple weeks ago could now be Amanda Lemos. I think coming off of that loss, her and Torres actually makes a lot of sense, and I think that that's a matchup that has high excitement potential.
Okay. Let's transition this and go over to the winner, Jessica Andrade. Omar, looking at the division, where do you think that Andrade goes from here again?
Well, I think at this point it would be you have the top of the division that's kind of already in the works, right? Wei Li's going to be fighting Joanna, Carla and Rose are about to fight. Marina Rodriguez just ended up winning that decision against Yan Xiaonan, who's number 6 in the division, I believe. I think Jessica and Marina could probably throw down at this point. I don't know if they fought in the past before. I don't think that they have.
No.
So at this point, especially from the rankings perspective and where they're at, that's probably the best place to put them. Okay.
Mark, do you have a take? Women's strawweight, where does Jessica Andrade go after this big statement win?
It's got to be Marina Rodriguez. It's got to be. She's sitting near the top of this division without an opponent. Like Omar said, she's had to watch Namajunas and Esparza get booked. She had to watch Wei Li and Joanna get booked. And she was kind of left without anyone else that made sense. Everyone else is kind of too low for her to fight, or she's already beaten them, and she was like the odd person out. And now, boom, here it is. Jessica Andrade hops in your division, has a hell of a resume, gets a big statement finish right out of the gate, and I think that is literally the perfect fight that just kind of fell into our laps. And I think that's a toss-up. I think that might be a pick 'em fight, odds-wise.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Anything else you guys want to say about this fight before we move on?
I don't know if we've said it already, but this was the first standing guillotine in UFC history, both men and women. So,
wow! To finish a fight,
it was an arm triangle, not a
arm
guillotine.
triangle. Arm triangle. Is that what I said?
I heard you.
Standing guillotine?
I heard you.
My bad.
I heard arm triangle.
My bad.
You said guillotine.
Standing arm triangle. My bad.
This was the first one to finish a fight in UFC history. Get out of here. Wow.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised more people haven't really even attempted something like that before, but good on Andrade for finding that opportunity and committing to it, because a lot of people probably wouldn't have.
Yep. Also, that happened so fast.
Yep.
Like, you have to watch it over again because you miss when she, like, wraps her up.
We've seen chokes like that before, too, where we're not really sure if they're in or not, and then all of a sudden you see the person's face and they're gasping for dear life. And you had no idea how it
wasn't the
got to that
most
point.
incredibly fast submission on the card, but we will get to that later.